2020, a year of many upsets, and it finally showed up in Champions League quarterfinals. Hey guys, welcome back to Football Ninja Podcast with Amit and Karthik. We have four amazing games to talk about today. Let's start with the game that we thought would be a very intensive game, but it turned out to be a one-way street by Bayern. Karthik, Bayern versus Barcelona. What happened?
What the hell was that, man? I mean, that was probably the only game we thought would be balanced. And oh my God! I think since the kickoff, Bayern were all over Barca. They scored a quick goal at 4 minutes. They did not deserve. I mean, in my opinion, I don't think Barcelona deserved that own goal. That was just a cross which went in. And then after that, I mean, except for that magic moment from Luis Suarez, I think Bayern was all over them.
If you just see the final scoreline, Karthik, it's 2-8. 2-8, like winning against Barcelona with eight goals. Oh, it was an amazing game to watch. I think everything was started by Muller, very underrated player, I feel. But when he's in form, he can do what he did in that night. And what an amazing game it was from Bayern side as well. If you see the stats, the number of shots that Bayern had was 26 to 7 of Barcelona. That kind of shows that the intensity that Bayern got into this game, which was lacking. I don't know. I could not see Messi in the game. He was kind of he disappeared. Also, they in the first 20 minutes there were chances with Barcelona as well. They were able to do. They were able to get behind the defense of Bayern, and you can see that Bayern defensively is not as strong as you would think, or the goal line will show. But then the pressing that they did, I think they lost the game in midfield. Karthik, Goretzka overpowered Frankie de Jong, like absolutely. Like I think Frankie de Jong he's an amazing player, but then he needs passes to come to him. But on the other side, Goretzka was making those runs, which kind of changed the game for Bayern.
So if you see. Barcelona, now this new Barcelona that everybody talks about, they need space to play, right? They need spaces to get the ball through Messi or get the ball to Suarez, whoever is up front. And Bayern had that game plan in mind. They're not going to give them space. Their defense line is not the strongest in probably a couple of years. I'm talking about Barcelona. So they knew if they're gonna press them, they're gonna screw it up at some point, and it was not just once or twice. They gave away the ball so many times in midfield, and it was easy for Bayern to just turn up the play. And we all know the speed or the pace that Bayern has in this new team that they have. There's Alfonzo Davids, there is Gnabry, Perisic. All of them. With all that pace, it was just too much for Barcelona to handle, and even when Barcelona was controlling the position, it was just about turning the ball, right? Turning the position into their bit and just going ahead. I think they just took their chances well. Bayern, whenever they got a chance, they scored a goal. And there were a couple of. I think they could have scored more. There were some good clearances, or they were just some bad shots that Bayern put. But then I am sure. I mean, if they would have taken those as well, it would have been easily over 10 goals in this game. And it was just a bad night for Barcelona. They did not let Messi play. They did not give him any space. They did not give Suarez the space. There's nobody. You play Vidal on the left wing, and that was, I think, the worst decision that Setien made. I mean, you have a 120 million guy sitting on the bench, although he's not had the best season, right? Griezmann did not have the best of seasons, but then he could have added definitely much more than Vidal did. Probably, my guess is he only had Vidal because of the physicality that he brings to the team, but then that did not help. I mean, they did not need physicality. They needed somebody who could put those balls through, or who could get into that small pockets of space and create something. And Vidal is not that. Vidal is not that person, so it did not work out. And then he still waited till about 65-70 minutes to get Griezmann into the game. I mean, and I think even after he came on, it was just he was working more defensively than he was working offensively, right?
We are talking about Bayern, Karthik here, and Bayern is a team which in the mid-season was in crisis. Who could have figured out the team which had a change of manager in mid-season would not just challenge Barcelona, will ruthlessly score 8 against them, 8 goals. And talking about the players that they have now, Alfonzo Davids is a revelation for them. His that one stretch that he did, it was absolutely amazing. The run
the goal he set up for Kimmich, right?
Yes,
yeah.
yes. The run that he made is absolutely, like, as a defender, it'll give you nightmares. The run that he made, and it was just an amazing sight to watch for a neutral. If you see that game, and you see every time Bayern has the ball, they are going to score, and that kind of confidence, that kind of pressing, kind of also made the defenders of Barcelona very nervous. So they were losing the ball. Like, I've never seen Barcelona with so low confidence that they are not able to clear the ball. While clearing the ball, they are giving it away. And kudos to the pressing, the strategy that Bayern came in with. It was more or less, I was looking at this game, it was more like Testega versus Neuer, who would go against each other, who would have like a better game to kind of represent in the national team. but unfortunately, Testega had absolutely no support from his defenders. It was an horror show from Barcelona.
I mean, he couldn't have done much about the goals that went in, right? So, like you said, absolutely no support from his defenders. I want to get back to the point where you said change of management, and I want to talk about Hansi Flick, who took over Bayern mid-season. And what an amazing job he's done. They were struggling in the league, in Bundesliga. Champions League, they passed through. They got through the round of 16. The first game that they had, I think, and Hansi Flick was already there when they beat Chelsea 3-0 at home. But the group stages they got through. But then, what do you think about Hansi Flick, the job that he's done with this team in terms of rebuilding it, or giving it a whole new dimension in the way they have performed? They outplayed everyone in Bundesliga after the restart, and then in Champions League. So, what do you think of that?
Hansi Flick, assistant coach for Germany, which won against Brazil. You remember the famous victory, and the kind of trust that he has put on Alfonso Davids, the way he has played Kimmich in a very defensive role. But Kimmich is also a very versatile player, right? He can play wherever you put him. But yet, putting him trust, and that shows right on the pitch where every time they had the ball. So the only thing that they knew was to press as much as you can, right? And that showed at Sulan as well.
Yeah, and about that press, right? It was not just for the first half or for first 50 or 60 minutes, which we usually see with teams where they would do that, and then the game sort of becomes a more open game where they stop pressing so hard like they would, or even with Liverpool, right? That's a similar strategy they also use, where they would press really, really high. And teams would generally end up giving the ball. But Bayern, for the entire 90 minutes, they did that. And I think we have to comment on that. We have to commend them on that. You said Muller was the best player on the pitch. Yes, he was the man of the match for the game. But I think there were a lot more players who deserved that. He said it himself, right? He said all the 12-15 players in the squad, they deserve man of the match. So I think you cannot just single out any player who played really well in that Bayern team, but it was the entire team performance, and everybody played their best, I think, on the field that day.
And also, Karthik, if you see, in certain ways, there were very crucial moments in the game in the starting 20 minutes where Bayern really won those crucial minutes. Like Perisic scoring that second goal was really important for Bayern to again get that confidence, because it was 1-1, right? Okay. And then if you see, football is a game of two halves, and Bayern won both the halves 4-1.
Exactly. And the best I like about this Bayern team is the trust that these players have in each other, or they know where the guy would be. You see these no look passes or no
Correct.
look
Yes.
crosses over the top. They know that somebody is gonna be there at the end of where the ball falls, right? So that's a very important thing, which I think Hansi Flick has brought into this team. The last point I want to talk about is Philippe Coutinho.
Oh.
So, on loan in Bayern from Barcelona, their highest the highest transfer fees Barcelona ever paid for a player, Philippe Coutinho,
On loan.
and now on loan to Barcelona, coming on, scoring 2 goals, assisting 1.
Yes.
So that's just. I mean, I don't even know what to say about it.
It was I was reading a lot about it, and then people were saying I think Barcelona missed a trick by adding that in the contract, saying that he can't play against them. But actually they did. Like they did if they would have done it. But and the ease that he scored goal with. So the first goal that he scored, he definitely had a heavy first touch, but there was no defender around him to actually take the ball away from him, and that showed the kind of confidence that was missing in Barcelona defense side. I know we have been talking about how much they need a striker, but looking at the side right now, they need at least one midfielder to assist Messi around, and they also need like at least 2 defenders to make sure. So they have good defenders, but they are not of the age, right? They are like youngsters who are coming in, but then defender is usually one who has more like PK can't do a lot on his own, and you can just reading listening to PK post match, and he comes out and says that even if I have to go out, I will, but I need this team to start rebuilding, and I hope they start rebuilding Barcelona. And it's kind of an end of an era now, because Real Madrid and Barcelona both have not qualified for semis, and I think it's the first time since 2007 that no Spanish team has qualified for semis.
And another thing on that, so Messi or Ronaldo not being involved in the semi-finals hasn't happened since 2005. So
and both the teams, Karthik, both the teams have been managed by Pep Guardiola. In past, and now going to the team that Pep Guardiola is managing. Let's talk about Man City and Lyon. What a game, Karthik! What a game!
They sort of said, "Oh, it's gonna be Bayern versus Man City. What a game it would be!" You see all of these things coming in before the match, and then Man City just fucked it up. I mean, I don't know what that formation was to start with. That Pep Guardiola set up. When you have a team that's been playing, I'm not going to say they have been playing really really well this season, but they you know that team, right, and how they play, and then you go and set up a new formation altogether, which you haven't tried out. Like we're just listening, right? So somebody just said, Pep he just outsmarted himself, right?
Outsmarted himself.
He overthinks. So I think that's what happened. They did not have the key players that would have brought something to the team. So there was no David Silva, there was no Bernardo Silva. Mahrez was out. Foden was out. So you know how Sterling's gonna play or what he's gonna do. I think the best player for them was Kevin De Bruyne, like he has been for the entire season for Manchester City, but he cannot do everything alone, right? So
correct.
He scored a goal.
And he scored a goal though, right?
Exactly.
And what else can you expect from him? And when Sterling is missing a sitter like that, right in front of the goal, what can he really do? Like that's the way you look at it, right? So. And also, looking at the formation, Karthik, don't you think that Pep Guardiola did that because he knew defensively they are very weak and they don't have players in, so he was trying to strengthen the defense. But the problem with that is that what Man City has always been is all about pressing, going behind the defense, which was missing. And in sorts, you can just if you have a look at the stats, Karthik, like 28% possession, Lyon had only 28% possession. And in that 28% possession, they won the quarterfinals. and that is astonishing against City. So, as you said, I think Pep
I mean,
Guardiola outsmarted himself.
you also look at the shots, right? So they just had 7 shots they just had 7 shots, and out of which 6 were on target. So you see that conversion. So they took all the chances that they could. Yes, there were a lot of fuck-ups from the defense. I think all 3 goals that went in against City were all errors, right?
Correct.
To start with, the first one, Ederson was not in position. He just came out. The second one, it's debatable if it was a foul or all that, right? It's a debatable goal, but at end of the day, it was given a goal. The third goal, again, Ederson just that's an easy save. That should be an easy save for a keeper of his caliber. But then we saw what happened, and I think Rudy Garcia he set up his team. We all thought Moussa Dembele would start the game. He has had an amazing season, but then he also went with Depay, who did not have the best of games yesterday. But then I think he did his part, and then Moussa Dembele came on, and it just changed. He 2 shots, 2 on target, and 2 goals, right, for Moussa Dembele.
Yeah, that's the best stat. Yeah. And Karthik, even in that, right? So going back to the 3 goals that were scored by Leon, yes, there were fuck ups by the keeper. But then they still had to be finished, and the kind of finish that Maxwell did, that curve that he put in that ball to get away from the keeper and then go into the goal was amazing. The second goal by Moussa Dembele was controversial, but then again they fucked up defensively, right? Eric Garcia came too much ahead to defend him, where he had an easy run.
He wanted that to happen, right? He wanted Eric Garcia to come to him so that the other the wingers could make that run behind him, and that's what he did. But
correct, yeah.
He fell for the trap.
He fell for the trap. Eric Garcia fell for the trap.
You also have to give him that. He's just 19 years old. He's still learning. But then you cannot, at a game of that level, you cannot make those errors. The striker is just wanting that to happen. Anyway, going to the third goal. What about Ederson? I mean,
what a miss! So he could have easily held that ball. I see. That's why Ederson probably is one of the best keepers around, and obviously winning the golden glove as well. But there are times when he does things like this, right? Where he kind of single-handedly gave 2 goals to Leon, and that sealed the deal for City. And after that, you could see that impatience in Pep Guardiola trying to replace, trying to put substitution, but that never came up. Like, yes, Mahrez came in, but it was too late, I feel. There was a certain... all I'm saying is if Sterling would have scored that goal,
we would have seen a very different game, I think.
Right? Game would have been totally different. I still have that, like, the sight of Sterling missing that goal, and he's just there. He did not move for like 2-3 minutes. He was just there. Oh, he knew.
I mean, I can only
how bad he
imagine if
fucked
there
up
was a crowd, in the stadium. That would have been even worse, right? So, anyway.
So I think lockdown has got something good at least for Sterling. No crowd, so less booing.
But I mean,
and see that's how it is. Right? I think in the last game we were kind of praising him for what he did. In the last podcast we were doing the same thing. Right? We were talking about how he scored his 100th goal for Man City, average of 25 goals per season. And when you see that holistically, and now we're talking about him as the main villain of not making sure that City doesn't qualify.
Man City. They've after the restart they have had more than 100 corners where they have just scored 2 of them. So that shows that from set pieces how, I mean, if counting out all the free kicks that Kevin De Bruyne scores or sets up, corners they have been really bad. So I also think that because City were attacking most of the time, and then Walker and Cancelo were both right there, much ahead of the defense, and then there were 3 defense. There's Laporte, there's Fernandinho, and Eric Garcia, who were also holding a very high line, almost going into Leon's half, and then they just were looking to make runs, and that's what they did.
Okay, guys, with that, we are wrapping up our podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Please hit a like if you like the podcast, and you can hear us on different platforms. Links are in description. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for listening. See you next week. Bye.